Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and I have a fun giveaway competition for you guys for Easter. I will put all the details at the end of this video for anyone who wants to know how to enter and get your hands on some chocolate. So without further ado, you're going to be a craftier person after watching this video. Refuse to be served by a woman bartender and ask for a manager? Allow me to introduce you to her. Originally posted this in r/ProRevenge but was told it was a better fit here, so here you go. A bit of backstory, I worked at a pub on and off for about 3 years. Not full time, but rather on a 0 hours contract. Basically, I picked up shifts whenever I was back from uni, paid per shift. They had a decent turnover of back of house staff, so as someone who knew pretty much everything in there, I would generally be the person to fix issues whenever a newer member of staff had a problem. So I'm on a barbecue shift, which means I'm running food outside. There's also a bar out there which was taken care of by a female co-worker, FC, and every now and then a manager would check up and make sure everything was alright. We had 3 managers on at the time and they generally helped out whenever was needed. Nobody was afraid to get their hands dirty. It was a quiet night, so we were basically chilling out there, serving the occasional burger or drink. When I go in to help out on glasses, since as always it was backed up, and when I came back out again, this guy was basically standing angrily by the bar. FC is visibly upset. Not crying or anything, but clearly not having a good time. And as I walk up, this guy sees my apron and puts his hands on his hips. "Finally! Get me your manager, I want this girl gone," he says, or words to that extent. Now, I'm understandably doubtful she's done anything that bad, especially since she's relatively new, so before doing anything, I bring FC around the back and ask her. Turns out she'd messed up this guy's pint, and he'd gone off about how women can't pour beer and that she shouldn't even be there, it was a man's job, etc. I told her I'd sort it out, leave him with me and you can continue to watch the bar in the meanwhile. Now, I wasn't going to let this go unpunished, so here's where the compliance comes in. Remember, there are 3 managers on at the time. 2 were on the floor currently, both men and both perfectly capable of sorting this out, but the 3rd was female. We'll call her Kate. Now, Kate was the most senior manager on, hence why she was in the office sorting out admin and emails, etc. And she took absolutely no crap whatsoever. For reference, when she finally left the pub, it was to go and work as a prison officer. She was a damn good manager for getting things done, but definitely not afraid to stamp her authority if need be. In short, not someone you want to be on the wrong end of. You can guess which manager I went to. She was at first annoyed I was trying to drag her all the way outside, but when I explained fully, she just stopped typing, stood up and told me to lead the way, which I did, smiling all the way because I knew exactly what was coming next. I lead her down, and as the guy sees us approaching, his face just falls off a cliff. I've never seen anyone go from angry to oh crap that quickly ever since. It was just glorious. Kate is of course very polite, but makes a point of introducing herself as the head manager of the pub. Not strictly true, but it gets the job done. He stutters about having his pint messed up and she tells him he can have another one on the house. Then she proceeds to go behind the bar and pour it herself before handing it to him. I can feel how badly he wants to complain about it from across the bar, but eventually he takes his drink and walks off without another word. Kate just gives me a look and a little smile before walking back to the office. Yes, it probably would have been more efficient to do literally anything else to resolve this whole thing. In fact, I probably could have just come to drink myself and he would have pissed off, but oh, the result was worth it. Edit. Wow, this blew up more than expected. I'll try to answer a few of the questions in the comments. How did she mess up the pint? I don't know for certain, but I'm like 80% sure she had too much head. The outside bar has a limited selection of beers and cider, strangely enough, on tap, but you have to roll the kegs down there yourself and get whatever manager is doing them to change them over. Depending on who rolls them, they can be pretty lively, especially if the keg is full or almost empty. Why did she give him a free beer? It wasn't exactly free, since he'd already paid for the first one and refused it, but we still had to put a pint as wastage on the system, so it worked out that way. Thing is, this pub is part of a chain, burning in price, so reputation is much more valuable than a single beer or whatever. Granted, he was an a-hole, but as much as I'd have loved to pour his beer on his head, I'm pretty sure I would have been in deep crap with Regional for doing so. I assume that's the same reason Kate didn't go off on him as well, but I don't know for certain. Long story short, you don't shout at customers, you smile and put up with it. Sucks, but that's how it is. What's the deal with being new and less likely to make a mistake? Usually the newer someone is, the more likely they are to make mistakes. The thing is though, these are usually small problems, like following protocol and not knowing one part, and from the way he was reacting you'd think she'd actively insulted him or done something serious. Knowing how strictly new hires follow the rules, I doubted she'd done anything that warranted that reaction, but I did ask her to make sure first. I'm there to solve problems after all, not to make them. Was this guy real? Unfortunately, yes. Truth be told, he's not even the worst I've had to deal with. A few people see a single bartender and no managers and like to try one on, although almost none of them are genuinely rude. The outside bar closes a little earlier than the inside one, but people really like to try getting free stuff while we're closing down. Admittedly, it might be because we're allowed one staff drink if we're on a close shift, and the chefs will usually just pour themselves one in normal clothes, but I don't know. I think this would sort of be the same feeling if you have a sibling and you're both kids and you've seen your sibling do something you can get them in trouble for, so you run and tell your parents so you can sit back and watch them get grounded. It's an amazing, giddy feeling. Also, sorry to my older brother. You want proof my aunt died? Okay. I remembered this today, but it actually happened about 5 years ago. My boss Bob was a jerk to me on a good day. I was the only woman working in the warehouse and he always treated me differently even though my work ethic was no different than my other 2 co-workers. The 2 other guys I worked with called him old-fashioned, which I think was code for racist, sexist and homophobic, but he's old so we'll give him a pass. Anyway, when you have a big Irish Catholic family, sometimes you just have bad years where it seems like more people pass away than normal. 2014 was one of those years for me. 2 of my relatives passed away in 2 weeks, and we lost others that year too. But it just so happened that those 2 funerals were on consecutive Fridays. The first funeral was my mum's cousin Kay, who passed out of nowhere from a heart attack. We were all surprised and hurt by her passing, and I get news that her service will be that Friday. Okay, cool. I go to my boss and tell him I'll have to use one of my bereavement days to attend a funeral. This is where the bull starts. He asks me who passed, and I tell him. He then tells me, very rudely I might add, that if I had even read the employee handbook I would know that bereavement days are only for if the employee's parents, grandparents and children die. I say, okay, no problem. Sorry I didn't know the policy. I then tell him I'll be taking a vacation day then. He tells me that if I'm requesting a vacation day for a funeral, I have to provide him, not HR, with a copy of the obituary. Not knowing any better, I say, okay. That night, I go home, take a photo of the obituary my ma had clipped, emailed it to him, got my day off, and I thought all was well. But that weekend, my Aunt Elle passed away. Elle wasn't my biological aunt, she was actually my cousin's grandmother, but my cousin and I were very close growing up, and we spent a ton of time at each other's houses. Aunt Elle was around a ton when I was growing up, and she passed after battling cancer. I was devastated. I went into work that Monday a complete emotional mess and let my boss know that unfortunately my family had experienced another loss and that we didn't know yet when the service would be, but I just wanted to let him and my team know that I might have to take another vacation day this week. As I'm telling my boss this, I am crying and he sort of watches me blurt all this stuff out stony-faced. He just says, okay, and sends me on my way. Later that day I get an email from him with a request for a copy of an obituary. I go into his office and tell him I don't have a picture of the obituary in the paper, but I have the funeral home's website that I can show him, since my cousin shared it on his Facebook, which also announced that her funeral service would be that Friday. He loses his crap. He starts throwing these insane accusations at me, like that Aunt Elle had a different last name than me, so clearly I'm not actually related to her and I don't know who she is. He said that he won't believe a post on Facebook about someone I don't even know dying, and that there was no way he was going to give me 2 Fridays off in a row to go to funerals. He did air quotes at that. What a jerkface. It's the beginning of busy season there, and we don't have time to take a piss swamped, and he says I'm taking this time off to F over the business and my co-workers because I'm a lazy millennial. He accuses me of making fake posts to try and get a 3-day weekend, instead of just requesting vacation time like a normal human being. I just walked out crying. I'm sad to say I didn't have the mentality then to defend myself, or tell Bob to go F himself. Later that day, I went and explained to HR what was happening, and she got everything straightened out and I got my Friday off. As a bereavement day, no less. But I was angry and upset, and I formulated a plan fueled entirely by pettiness. Firstly, I dug out my childhood photo albums and took every picture with Aunt Elle, myself, my brother and my cousin. My nan loves scrapbooking, so luckily she always took a ton of pictures of family events and gave us disposable cameras all the time. Secondly, I bought a newspaper that had her obituary in it. Third, I took screenshots of her Facebook page, with a ton of people with my last name writing goodbye posts on her wall, including my own post. Then, on the Friday of her funeral, I took an extra prayer card. That following Monday, I went into work with my folder full of Aunt Elle. I made copies of everything on the work copiers, which was a fireable offence at that job, and put it all into a binder that I took from the supply closet for maximum petty points. Then I walked into my boss's office. I had had all weekend to think about this epic speech I was going to give him about what a prick he was, but when I got in there, I sadly lost some steam, and just awkwardly said, "Bob, I quit. You're an a-hole, dude." I put the binder on his desk and walked to my desk, packed my crap, and left. I got calls from the HR lady for weeks asking me to come back, but eventually I stopped answering her calls. I heard they hired 2 temporary workers for the summer to help out. Even though it was dumb for me to quit with nothing else lined up, I found another job pretty quickly, and I no longer had to work for a complete D-head. I actually really like my boss now. Just this year, I found out from a former co-worker that company had gone under and was bought by another company, and that my old a-hole boss was forced into early retirement because the new company looked through his records and saw he had several complaints over the decades he worked there, and decided they didn't want to deal with him. You want me to write a 15-page essay on a company? Why, of course! First post on Reddit ever. I absolutely love this subreddit and have been following it for a good while. So here goes nothing. Background info. Back when I was in school in like 2011 or 2012, can't actually remember which exact year, I had to do a lot of essays because of the type of program I went to. In Sweden, you could kind of pick and choose a little with what kind of classes you wanted, but still could finish up to the same type of degree. Easy peasy. Or so I thought. Because I picked Social Studies, Part 2. I did Part 1 in the previous year because I couldn't pick and choose. Might as well pick it because it was a nice complementary part for the degree I wanted and was aiming at back then. The term/semester started, and behold, the teacher from hell which Lucifer probably picked himself, Anna. Not real name of the person. Since she's in the post, you can imagine that this person was not nice in any aspect. Staging the setting with me and Anna from hell. Anna was giving instructions to the whole class about having to pick a rather broad topic that is connected to social studies which we like, where the topic cannot truly lead to a yes or no. Also, that it has to fit into only 10 pages. You have exactly 7 days to do this, including weekend. My pick? How milk has changed the Swedish breakfast. Pre-malicious compliance. Anna okays it, and I spend around a good set of 30 hours into this, when she estimated 7 hours done. She hands me back my work, and I am shocked to see I failed to pass. Me, I think you've made a mistake. I have not. Well, why did you give me this particular grade? Because it lacked context, you didn't come to a conclusion, and your fact page is too long. Okay. I didn't want to argue with the witch from hell anymore, so me being pissed, I sat my ass down and got another topic. A pre-done one. So I thought to myself that this ought to be good. So I get the topic about a Swedish concrete factory. Just that. No instructions other than it has to be at least 15 pages minimum. How in the world that really ties in directly to a non-advanced course is beyond me. But I will do it. 15 pages? Here we go. I get 3 weeks to complete. Anna's estimation is that it's going to take around 15 hours to do, so we better work very hard. Every time I was half asleep in the hallways, I always got the eye from her, and just these small notes after every class that I needed to work hard on the project, and made me feel guilty that I had to do this as a second chance to get a grade. When a week passed, I checked all the sources I was able to find at the time. It wasn't really enough, so I told her that I cannot make up facts about something that I don't know, only to fill up to 15 pages. She didn't believe me, of course. Cue the malicious compliance. Last day, I copy-pasted info from Wikipedia. Their specific homepage as well about some random BS about the company itself, and let me tell you, I couldn't fill up 15 pages in just that. So last few pages I ranted off talking about how my first work about milk was so much better than this piece of crap. Yes, I explicitly wrote that in the draft I sent directly to Anna. All done in 45 minutes. I signed it myself, and I also sent a very nice email to the principal about this project, and gave all the information and both essays away. Next day, Anna said I passed. A week after that, this course got cancelled for the rest of the term, but since all points that should have been graded were graded, we all passed. Anna was nowhere to be seen, and I've never seen her since. Okay, so that's all for r/malicious compliance. I really hope you did enjoy it. I'm going to talk about the giveaway now and how you can enter. So I'm giving away 10 little boxes to celebrate Easter. So if you want to get your hands on some chocolate from the UK, then here's how you do it. So the first thing is to make sure that you like, comment and subscribe, and then click on the entry link down below. You'll need to enter your first name only, your email, your YouTube username to verify that you've subscribed, the country you live in, and I want you to write me a short story. It can be anything. A time that you've dealt with an entitled parent, or when you've maliciously complied. If you've dealt with nice guys or nice girls, I want to hear it. There are going to be 10 winners. 5 will be handpicked by me based on your story, and 5 will be completely random. The giveaway is open to all, no matter where you're from, and all the winners will be announced on Easter Sunday, the 21st of April, and the packages will be shipped the next day. So you won't be getting it on Easter, and I apologise, but I spent ages putting the little care packages together, so hopefully you enjoy. Good luck, and thank you all for watching. Bye!